Hey everybody, Coach Van Nuys here. We're going to talk about basketball, even though it's been well over a month since the season finished up. We were cut short with the COVID-19 stuff, and we're not able to have our basketball banquet. One of the things I'd like to do is I want to recognize the athletes and also other people that were played a part in this past season. First off, as a JV coach, our main focus is not wins and losses. But at the same time, it sure is fun to win, and we won quite a few games. We ended up 18-6 for a record. We had a lot of good things, played a lot of close games, very competitive. So I'm going to start off by thanking a few people. First off, I'd like to thank my family. I'd like to thank my wife Kelly for allowing me to continue to coach. It's not easy when you have children that are at home, children that play other sports that you could be watching instead. And it's coaching, especially basketball, takes a lot of time away from home, and I appreciate the ability to do so. I'd like to thank my children for allowing me to miss a lot of their important things, such as Mara. I miss a lot of your basketball games, and it's tough, but at the same time, the being able to be a part of the basketball family is a big thing for my daughter as well, but also for me and even the boys. The boys come to practice with me. They get to see the varsity athletes practice. They copy them, and when it's their turn in the elementary, they do just what they see. They know how to take charges. They know how to close out on people, and it's really cool to see that in young kids how they will emulate people that they look up to. So I appreciate you guys, especially the seniors, for your leadership for that. My next thank you is for the coaches. Coaches, Coach Helsher, thank you very much for being an excellent head coach. Working under you allows me to have freedom to do what I think is right. I feel like I have an input into what happens in the varsity games, and you're just a class act. Okay, you run a heck of a program. Coach Steyer, you do a good job of bringing those kids up from the ninth grade, getting them ready to go for me. And then lastly, Coach Imdick, you do you and I are actually the co-coaches of the JV. It's not just me. It's you out there that's game planning. You're out there working with me when I can't be there because of there's been a few times where I went and watched Mara, or I have commitments for other activities that I'm in charge of that you cover for me. You do a great job. And for a while, you were undefeated. But now you have a loss, so we got to work on that. Anyways, I really do appreciate that. And coaches, along with athletes, it's really the relationships that are important. And coaches, I value the relationships that we've built in our coaching staff, and it's a good thing. Parents, thank you for being there for your sons, allowing us to see them more than maybe you do. Like I see the athletes maybe more than I see my own children sometimes. And then lastly, thank you, athletes, especially seniors. What you've done for this program is tremendous. I've been around for a long time. I've seen the highs and lows, and right now we're at a high, and a lot of it, not a lot of it, but it's really all you guys. You guys are the ones that make it happen. It's not just because you are super athletic or talented. It's because you put a lot of work into it, and you understand what it takes to improve your game over by practicing. It doesn't just happen by showing up. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about each athlete. And in doing so, I might forget a few things, but I want to just mention some of the things that they did to help make our program successful. One of them is Stuart Jones. Okay, we'll start with the freshman. Stuart spent a little bit of time in the B team, not a lot, but when he played B team, he was a difference maker. His defense disrupted the other team, leading to turnovers that oftentimes led to scores. Isaac Maddock, another freshman, also played quite a bit of B team. Sometimes he would play one half of C, one half of B if we're playing at the same time, sometimes 2 and 1, depending on the game. But whenever he came in the B game, I could rely on him to, well, oftentimes he made a lot of threes, like a lot in one game, multiple times. But I always could rely on him to understand what the team is trying to do and to execute the game plan. He could see the floor very well, find his teammates, And sometimes by being a year or two younger than other athletes, other people might not accept you. But I guarantee every time that Isaac was ready to come in, his teammates were genuinely happy for how he did. So both Stuart and Isaac were excited about your future. Going through the sophomores, for the first sophomore is Bauer Klimek, and Bauer did not spend the entire season with the B team. He went back and forth between the varsity, and sometimes would play two halves of varsity, one half of B. Sometimes no B team at all. But anyways, Bauer, when he was on the B team, he was a catalyst. Obviously, he was a great shooter for us, just like he was in the varsity. But in the B team, he had a bigger role. He had to sometimes defend one of their best guards. Sometimes he had to bring the ball up against pressure. He had to initiate the offense and get other people involved and score in other ways other than shooting open jump shots. Sometimes taking the ball off the dribble and that sort of thing. So Bauer, great season, great job in the varsity, and we're looking forward to a continued success for you. Another sophomore is Ethan Wiggins. One thing I can say about Ethan is he has tremendous enthusiasm. There would be, hey V, how's it going? And just he would be genuinely happy to be at practice, to interact with his teammates, and I really feel that that part of it was very important for him. So Ethan had a great season, come off the bench, give us energy, give us defense, and he really helped the team out. Another sophomore, Tyler Hagan, made tremendous strides throughout the year. He turned himself into a player that when I put him in, he had a very specific role. One of those was to defend the rim, especially in our zone defense. We could put him on the wing across the bottom or in the middle, and we know that he could disrupt shots. He could get rebounds. And on the offensive end, he would find unique ways to put the ball in the hole. He was able to work his way through guys, finish in different positions, and score, and that's a good trait. With his size and his touch and his ability to affect shots with a lot of work, he definitely has a role in the future. Another sophomore, Carter Watness. Carter Watness really did a lot of things for the team, and of all the players I have, I don't know, I shouldn't necessarily say that he's the most valuable, but what Carter was able to do was to impact the game in multiple ways. Whether it's defensively, offensively, rebounding, is he's able to do things that sometimes go unnoticed by the general public. He understood the game plan. He listened well, and he was definitely a big part of everything we did throughout the entire year. Another sophomore, Brady Magus. Brady kind of went back and forth between the varsity and the JV. But when he was in the JV, he was an impact player. He was a tough matchup for the teams. He's physical. He can body guys. And the one thing that people don't recognize is Brady has a lot of skill in the offensive end that comes from a lot of practice. He's able to find ways of getting to the hole. He's able to finish in weird positions. Even hit a three-pointer this year, which is, I think, is a part of his game. He might have thought it was kind of a joke that I say, hey, Brady, let's shoot it. But I've seen him work in practice, and I know that's something that we can open up in his game in the future. Another sophomore, Chase Meyer, made great gains throughout the season. In my opinion, Chase was not at full strength for the first half of the season. He didn't look to be the same guy he was in the last several weeks. Once he got healthier, I felt that he was able to move better. But the whole time he was always able to see the floor, and he was one of our best passing big guys. He could, from the high post, interior passing was tremendous. So that was a very valuable asset. And just having him on the floor, it was always that extra pass that was made that got somebody else more open. So Chase, good job. The last sophomore I'll mention is Aaron Knack. Aaron, we had a lot of big guys, and having sometimes 3, maybe even 4 post players in the floor meant that some of them had to step out to the perimeter to change their game up. And Aaron is a guy that can do that. For example, we could take Aaron in the high post, bump him out to the top of the key, and hit that shot. If they did not guard that, or they put a smaller guy on him, we could go high-low, look to get him and bury his guy into the basket. And Aaron was able to score in different ways. His footwork is very good. He's able to go both left shoulder and right shoulder. So Aaron, great season. So I'll move on to the juniors. One junior I'd like to mention is Ty Wervin. Now Ty, This is his first year playing basketball since elementary. And with that, we knew it'd be a difficult transition to learn the game. Within the first 1 or 2 practices, I saw something in Ty that impressed me. He wanted to know what was going on and to learn the game. It took a while to figure out some of the offensive things we're doing since he wasn't familiar with the terminology or the concepts. But what did not take a while to figure out was that Ty had a tremendous work ethic and had a thirst for knowing more about the game. He was very eager to do whatever we asked of him. Another junior, Kellen Anderson, was instrumental. Kellen jumps really well. He's able to finish around the rim. He's able to take guys up the dribble, and he's able to finish in ways you don't see guys in the JV level do. You just see a whole different level of athleticism, and we're excited about him as a varsity player next year. Jaron Kurth, another JV player. Jaron, in our whole program, 9 through 12, at times he was our best shooter, and we have some pretty dang good shooters on our team. But when he got hot, boy, it was impressive that he was able to string together some games, 5 or 6 3-pointers in one half of basketball. That's a very rare thing to do. And if you can combine that shooting with improvements in other areas, boy, I mean that's a tremendous asset to have going to the next level as a varsity player. The next athlete I want to mention is Waylon Menshuber. Now, Waylon, he's undersized sometimes for the position he plays. If you had another 5 or 6 inches on him, he'd be a tremendous post player. With his size, he's limited a little bit that way, but what he's not limited with is the effort that he gives, whether it's diving on the floor, taking a charge, maybe fouling a guy or flopping possibly. He does little things that helps him be successful. And that's something that other players can learn from. Is whatever you have is if you are aggressive and you give it your all, is that you can up your game. And Waylon definitely got the most out of his game. The last junior I want to mention is Brentley Bugard. Brentley has made tremendous improvements since 9th grade. He quite honestly might be our best athlete in grades 9 through 12. I mean, he can jump, he can run, he can move, and he's starting to be able to use his body in better ways. We put him on the bottom of our zones, or on the sides. Sometimes he can cover a lot of ground. He has a big wingspan. He anticipates the ball, gets his hand up, he can close out fast, and he's a tough matchup for the players in the B team level. He got better on the offensive end as the season went, and as a JV coach, I see all kinds of potential that still exists in Brentley. The last player I want to mention is our lone senior. Not very often have I coached a JV team that has a senior on it, but Jeff's a special player. Jeff Bartoni, as a senior, had a very important role. One important role was in practices, he oftentimes would be the person that would come with me and run drills. He would be a defender, he would be a shooter, he'd be a rebounder in drills, and that allowed me to keep my eyes on what was going on, which is very valuable for both the JV and the varsity. Now, Jeff, that doesn't mean that Jeff wasn't a threat, because when he got in the games, it was instant offense, and he was putting the ball up. And starting with our scrimmage before the season started, Jeff hit a deep 3-pointer there, and after he hit one in Swanville, the crowd went absolutely berserk. And you guys that were there will know what I'm talking about. As he hit that, now when I say crowd, does not just mean the Osakis fans, which got up on their feet, started screaming, basically like winning the national championship, I would say. Anyways, the Swanville, the fans did the exact same thing. And from that point forward, Jeff referred to his fans as the paparazzi. Jeff, if you're listening to this, you were a lot of fun to coach. And what's kind of interesting, though, is that as the season went on, we still heard a lot of cheering for Jeff when he hit those big shots, but he hit enough of them where the novelty kind of wore off a little bit, and people kind of thought, okay, Jeff made another shot. Let's clap a little bit for him. It wasn't necessarily the shot like it was his first few that he hit, but it was a lot of fun to coach him. One of the things that Coach Imdick and I like to talk about before games is we oftentimes try to put in perspective what sports actually mean. I've talked about what sports have meant to me. I've talked about what it meant to be a part of a team when I was in JV or B team when I was in high school, that I still remember those teammates. I still remember my coaches. I still remember game situations, and those memories will last for a lifetime. And sometimes it's the memories at these lower levels, like the JV team, that you will actually remember when you're older. Don't forget what we did this season. Don't forget the relationships. As you can see behind me, and over here to the side, and you can't quite see that over there, is that I have pictures from teams of years past. And when I look at those teams, one thing I don't necessarily always think about, I very rarely think about, is who is the best scorer in that team? How many wins did we have? I don't keep track of my record as a JV coach. I don't keep track of stats as a JV coach. What really means the most to me, and this is after over 20 years of coaching, is not the stats or not the wins, losses, or how many points people made. It's um, how how the relationships were. How did they make me feel, and how did I make them feel? How will I remember them? And I would look at these pictures. That's what really means the most to me, and hopefully you guys can take that away. So again, thank you very much, players, JV players and seniors. Thank you very much for everything you've done for this program. We hope to keep on building, and you will not be forgotten. Thank you very much.